Welcome to the Junto Podcast, where we promote the practical applications of critical thinking and bold creativity. I'm your host, Edgar Mills. Today, I have with me a good friend and colleague, Kirt Finnell. Me and Kirt know each other for several years now, from Fort Bragg, and turns out we both live in Rome, Georgia. So, Kirt is a sponsored and competitive sponsored shooter with a couple of big names, and I'll let him tell you about those.
Basically, I shoot for the tactical games primarily. I compete in a lot of other different disciplines. I'm trying to get into more like quantified performance, and recently, this past weekend, I shot at just a precision rifle match at River Bend Gun Club, gas gun, or bolt gun, choose your flavor. I shot in the tactical division where you can only shoot 308, 223. Ended up taking my division win there, so that was nice to get the year started. So I had a rough day the day before that. We won't go into that though. But yeah, so competitive shooting is my life right now, and I'm fortunate enough to have, gotten some people to support me this year. So Born Primitive Tactical, incredible clothing company. They make some really awesome stuff. I'm really excited about that relationship, run by a bunch of great people. I mean, they've got a great team of shooters and other like-minded individuals already there that I'm coming into the fold with. So I'm excited about that, and JP rifles as well. So I'm actually getting to shoot up to JP next week and build my rifle and get ready to compete with it for this year. So, and hopefully there's a few others in the mix. I currently shoot for Laugo Arms as well with the Alien, and I might shoot their Oracle as well in a regional match this year. That's to be determined, but there's a lot of good things going on.
Yep. So out here at Osprey Shooting Solutions, we are very fortunate to have Kirt, who's out there in the true competitive world. Kirt and I are looking at building a range, hopefully in North Georgia, or Northwest Georgia, hopefully pretty soon. That, fingers crossed and knock on wood and all that it's going to be competitive with some national level ranges, so that we might host some national level matches to include tactical games or USPSA or PCS League and stuff like that. But certainly what we do now and what we will continue to do is have our own local matches and, of course, execute all our pistol and rifle courses and stuff like that. So I'm very excited for Kirt. It's awesome that he's sponsored with, especially I'm excited about JP. I think that's an awesome sponsorship. I'm not so sure about the Laugo Alien yet.
The Laugo
Alien.
Yeah.
It's a cool gun. I think that's an innovative gun as far as actual innovation goes.
Oh, it's wild. That platform, the pistol platform, it's either 1911 style or striker fire, right? That platform has never really evolved, and this is the first time any company has been able to put something out there that truly changes the game when it comes to how a pistol functions, and functions efficiently and effectively as long as you don't mess with it too much. So, it's a really fun gun to shoot, and I've really enjoyed it so far. But, I'm having some technical difficulties of my own with it just because I like to tinker with things, but, that's just how things work. So
another dude you probably know Deshaun Jenkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, he shoots
the Laugo
Aliens.
Yep.
That guy's a phenomenal shooter.
Yeah. I'm talking to him out at SHOT Show this past, back in January.
Yeah, he's around here somewhere. I think his normal gun club's South.
He's closer to Atlanta.
South. I think he shoots at South River mostly.
Yeah.
So what about the Laugo is innovative? The obvious thing is the bore axis, and the whole slide doesn't reciprocate.
Yeah, so the mechanism on how it works, it's a piston-driven system. So, they were able to design it so that the piston sits above the barrel.
Right.
And the only piece of the slide that reciprocates are the two sides of the slide. So your optic stays still. It doesn't reciprocate. Right. So you're reducing that reciprocating mass, right? So you're already having to deal with recoil. So now you're having to deal with less mass moving.
Yeah.
And that bore axis, like you said, is lower in the hand. So therefore you can get a greater mechanical advantage on that reciprocating recoil. So it makes the gun shoot really flat, and you can shoot it very fast because that dot's not moving nearly as much. Now they have versions of it that, for USPSA that you have to run because they have to have a frame mounted optics. So they have versions of that, you can run. So mine's not, because I don't have to have that because I'm not competing in USPSA. So, but it's a sweet gun, man.
I don't know how much. I see that Laugo has a concealed. Call it concealed, but it's a.
It is. I actually got to play with it out at SHOT. It's called the Remus. Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
Is it?
There's some little mechanisms that they introduced in that platform. Number one, it is very small, and you can absolutely conceal carry this thing if you want to. And it runs off the same piston-driven system. So as far as, being able to control, because typically when you go down into smaller platforms like that, the recoil creeps up on you and it's harder to control. Well, with their system in place, you're greatly reducing the amount of recoil that you're having in a much smaller compact system. So, and on top of that, there's a really neat way that I'd butcher it if I try to describe it, but there's basically this little tab on front of the optic, and you can depress it and then break the entire slide back with everything in tow instead of just the two sides. So it's pretty neat how they do it. Like I said, don't take my word for that. I saw them do it, and then I did it, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Yeah. But there's some pretty neat stuff going.
Now, I wonder if they built that gun for actual concealed carry people or for IDPA.
So a lot of people are saying that. They're like, I'm on the Laugo forums, and people are fired up about it because they're like, I can conceal carry this and then walk in and go compete with it and dominate.
Right.
Just because of how it functions.
That's what I was thinking, was they were just looking at.
Well, that's the world they dominate.
Smoke IDPA.
Yeah. USPSA and IDPA is where they, absolutely dominate.
Because I'm pretty sure that when that gun first came out, it wasn't legal in any.
Well, so it was initially, then USPSA was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
And then they kind of, I don't know the whole dynamic behind it, but that's why Laugo then came out with the limited optics version, basically, to where it's a truly frame mounted optic. Yeah. So it actually reciprocates with the slide.
Yeah. No, that's cool for sure. It's a cool gun. I'm just still here shooting the old Glock 19,
Well, some people, Glock's got to represent.
That's awesome. What about, are you finding any, is that gun you're shooting today, JP?
No.
What's that?
That was that's a gun that I won at the USASOC Sniper Comp last year, and it's just been sitting on my shelf, and, I've got my JP build that I'm going to be building next week with JP. And so I just kind of put together, it's a Lancer build, and it's a hammer. I mean, I went to a quantified performance match, it's something in the mid of January, and was reaching out to 750 meters with it.
Nice.
So it's a great gun. I mean, I went out with a buddy of mine yesterday, and we had a target at 500 meters, and I put two bullets on top of each other.
Yeah.
So they can shoot.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. So competition shooting, that's the hot topic of the day. And it doesn't need to be said, especially on the Junto podcast necessarily, but since we're talking about it, competition shooting for civilians is the way to get better at shooting. That's all there is to it. No other place do you have the kind of time, stress, and competition that you get with competition shooting. And it doesn't really matter what organization. Yes, IDPA is a little bit of a slow mover compared to USPSA.
Oh, sure.
And there's that's where the old guys go. That's where I go.
Right.
But you're still racing against other people. You're trying yourself against other humans. Just because some old guys out there don't want to try new things, that's on them. I believe it was only a couple years ago IDPA allowed appendix carry inside the waistband.
No, competition breeds excellence. So you go out and test yourself against others, and you find your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Because something about that buzzer going off,
You will find it immediately.
it changes things
It
for
does.
people.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tested it. Like, I will get people to do things on their buzzer, then I'll take the buzzer away and they immediately improve because it's something about that stress of that buzzer going off.
Man.
Yeah, psychological.
It gets in your head.
So being able to put yourself into those situations and test it will really show you where your baseline is, because coming out to the range is necessary and you need to do it. That's how you get better. But you need to go put it to practice. You really need to go test it to see how you actually react under pressure.
You have to test yourself. And unfortunately, not everybody out there is a special operator or a special forces guy or a SWAT guy.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, not all Green Berets are good shooters.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Even active duty, like your average guy, man,
You'd be shocked.
C class or B class. Maybe.
I think that's being generous.
Yeah, probably C class. I wouldn't say D. I've known some guys. Don't get me wrong.
I know some guys,
but
I mean,
yeah, probably C class anyway. And that's, civilians don't understand the numbers that go along with that.
Mm-hmm.
But being a B or A class shooter in USPSA, you're moving, man.
Yeah.
So never mind Grandmaster, right? Never mind that.
That's race guns.
The time standards that exist are phenomenal. And some civilians, it blows their minds when they first come out here.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, yeah, well, a sub-second draw is kind of the standard. They can't even imagine it.
Right.
And you show it and you do it a couple times. It don't take long for them to understand and then to be able to pick it up. But just something as simple as a draw, it's faster than normal humans.
Yeah.
Even gun enthusiasts, So if you call yourself a gun enthusiast, but you don't go and do a competition once in a while, that's all you are, is an enthusiast.
Right.
You're not a shooter.
Yeah. No, you got to put it to the test.
Absolutely.
You got to measure yourself against others.
Yeah. So even us, right? We do local matches. We do our own local things. The next one coming up in March is Liberty or Death. We celebrate the Patrick Henry speech delivered to the 2nd Virginia Congress. And it's going to be a 2-gun. But our matches are simple. They're 4 stages long, maybe a half a day on the range.
Mm.
We'll run, and we'll have anywhere from, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 shooters. Everybody will run the stage. Then we change stages. Everybody runs the stage. Now, thank God, my son has come from Colorado and lives in Georgia full time now. So now all our matches are on practice score.
Yeah, that's nice.
So you can go back and
look at your results
and see results.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. I know I don't want to seem uneducated to the masses here, but practice score was not user friendly for me to figure out.
Well, you're in that age bracket where, technology is a tricky thing.
Technology is starting to get the best of me.
Yeah.
But practice score, that's a very important, that's the universal standard to look for matches and to keep your scores. Almost every match out there, even local matches, run on practice score.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily pay through practice score, and you don't always have to sign up through practice score.
Nope.
Like you sign up on my website for our matches, but your scores will be on practice score under OSS stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to track yourself, track your metrics. Look back on your last year's scores versus this year's scores, because there's a lot of drills out there, especially when you do classifiers.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same. They're standard.
There's a standard, yeah.
There's an absolute standard on distances, times, and all those things. So you can see how far you've progressed or not. So
yeah, that's a good thing that the Tactical Games is doing this year. They've introduced set standardized shooting courses of fire.
Yeah.
And I think there's 6 or 7, maybe 8 of them. Yesterday they sent them out. There may be some edits here and there to them, but they're going to be set in stone, and all the targets, the distances, the course of fire will be the same from Georgia to California. And they put them out there so that you can test them and run them. So I'll test the bejesus out of them so that when I show up, I can execute hopefully well, but it's a measurable metric.
Right.
You can measure yourself against everyone in the country who's doing it, just kind of see where you stand. Yep. And you can get better or you can get worse. It's kind of up to you. So,
and most of the organizations have that. There's a set group of drills
Yeah.
or stages that are standard.
Yeah. Like quantified performance has one, and it's like standing, prone, standing unsupported, 2 shots at 100, and then you go to a ladder, and then you got to engage a set of targets on the ladder, then you go to prone and you engage one target at the end, and it's the exact same way every time. The distances are the same, the setup is the same.
That's good. And folks, from a training perspective, what does that mean? It means there's consistency. You have a metric, and the metric's not changing on you. So you did good this one time, then you didn't do so good the next time. So consistency is very important in your training program. Mm-hmm. When it comes to shooting anyway, I imagine that applies to sports of all types. Consistency is critical. So like the bill drill, for instance, that's an old fashioned standard. Everybody knows it. 7 yards, 6 rounds as fast as you can
What's your bill drill time?
Right. Everybody knows that. I think USPSA has the steel challenge, and they have a set. There's only so many ways you can set up 5 pieces of steel, but they have them all, and they're measured out, and they're all standard every time. The Smoke and Hope drill or stage is the same in California as it is in Omaha, Nebraska, as it is in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's good. Now I'm going to tell you, when you come out to shoot matches here at OSS, you're going to get some crazy stuff. They're not standard stuff. Now, sometimes we'll run the bill drill, or we'll run some standard drill, what I call skill drills. But then I'll set up some stages where there's lots of movement and stuff like that, just for fun. People like to move and shoot. We got a 20-acre property here that we run on our OSS challenges for the Moog Mile. And coming up in April, by the way, we got the OSS to Green Beret Challenge. That's going to be a team event. But we run up into the woods and shoot courses of fire out there in the woods while carrying stuff and all kind of stuff. So, yeah, those aren't standard by any means, but they certainly are fun. Competition shooting. I encourage you to do it. What else is going on? What else is going on with you, Kirt?
That's it, man. I mean, this whole year is dedicated to, I want to be the best. I want to be the best in the sport, the tactical games, and I sprinkle in all the other stuff to try to cast a wider net when it comes to improving my skill sets, because
to enhance the in-between.
Yeah, right. So quantified performance is long range gas gun. I'll go do PCSL because it's, typically fast paced shooting, movements and, going back and forth. So, between, your rifle and your pistol. So, and I'll throw in USPSA stuff as well, cause that's good pistol and it works, eyes. Right. Moving, the transition stuff. That doesn't, just because you're doing it with just a pistol doesn't mean it still doesn't help you with your rifle. So learning how to transition between targets and weapons manipulations and all that kind of stuff. When you're competing at the elite level, every single movement matters, because you're trying to shave off tenths of a second here, tenths of a second.
It's all about efficiency.
You shave off a tenth, a tenth, a tenth, a tenth. Well, you start creeping up on a second. That's a massive amount of time, and a stage only lasts 20 seconds.
Yep.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to do. Is my calendar this year is banana lands with just competitions. I've got one this coming weekend. I'm going to go shoot the Proving Grounds with a good friend of mine that works out at the same gym. He comes out here as well. So that's very similar to the tactical games. Their claim is to be more shooting based than fitness based, which is great because it's not as painful. So that's always nice. And then, the next weekend I've got a PRS match that I'm going to go shoot over in Alabama. And then the weekend after that, so it's constant stuff. And then I've got, military competitions that I'm going to be doing. I've got USASOC coming up. Might do ISC after that. I've got another long range down at Altus, so it's all over the place.
Nice.
Yep.
That's busy, man.
Oh, I'm going to be very busy this year.
You're busy doing fun stuff.
Well, in order to, you want to be the best in the sport, you got to be obsessed. You got to
be out there. 100%. Yeah.
You got to be obsessed with it, and you got to be unhealthily, there is no balance.
Right.
And, I try to explain that to my wife because she doesn't really understand those things of why I can't do more here or this or that. I'm like, literally every waking moment I have is dedicated to trying to be the best in this sport because, the greats, there is no balance.
No, there's nothing else.
It doesn't.
You're just out there
that's
running
it.
gun, and that's
yeah.
it. Yep. Yeah. Weekend on weekend on weekend. That's good. Yeah, I don't know if I definitely don't have the time. Certainly the energy.
Yeah.
that schedule just running like that every weekend is crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, man, the pros are doing it.
Yeah.
So
that's what I mean. That's the way it's got. I know some guys that'll shoot 30 plus matches over the course of a year.
Yeah.
So I was shooting tactical games matches and I would do 2 or 3.
Yep.
And then the national championship. Well, now I'm trying to literally do 2, 3, 4 a month.
Yeah.
That's drastic.
That's moving around.
That's a lot different. So, sometimes 2 in one weekend.
Yeah.
So or if I can find one during the week, I'll go shoot it. I don't care. And then when I'm not shooting a competition or a match, I'm behind my house or here or, trying to just constantly push the edge on how to get better.
Well, hopefully we can bring that to Northwest Georgia as having a place where the big matches are
we're going to have it. We're going to have it.
We want the big matches to be happening here as well as everywhere down in Florida or South Carolina. Well, that's proving grounds. Sawmill. That's what.
Yeah, this one is in the Sawmill, but they're kind of all over the Southeast as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's something that we could bring here as well. Obviously the tactical games, my affiliation with them, I've already had those discussions about doing skirmishes here, and I'm sure we could manage a regional size event as well.
Absolutely.
Quantified performance. If we get that range that we're looking at getting out there, so we could definitely bring that in because that will fit in that box. Then you got PCSL, USPSA, IDPA,
many, man.
Yeah, all of them, all the things.
And the limiting factor for us to get those kind of organizations, like I know PCS League, they're making it user friendly. They don't. There's no affiliation requirements, unlike maybe USPSA is a little bitchy about a little costly,
right?
But they've had some money management issues.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things.
We're trying to stay clear of any controversy around here and just have fun.
That's right.
But for those of you who think about, so we're talking about how busy and how hard you got to push to be the best, right? But don't think if you show up to a match that there's not just a whole field of regular guys out there having fun.
Oh yeah, that's the majority.
That's the majority.
That's the majority.
Yeah, the top 10% of dudes are high speed pros.
I'd say even less than that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I'd say less than that for sure.
Probably top 5%.
Yeah, that take it seriously.
Are the guys who are doing it for a living. Everybody else is regular Joe.
Yeah,
and they got
like I've got companies now that are investing in me.
Yeah.
To go out and execute and be the best in the sport.
It's literally becoming a job.
It's a job now.
No,
that's what I wanted.
To be a job you love.
And I know that's the whole point. Is like I get excited showing. I wake up in the morning and I call it earning my breakfast. I go dry fire.
Yep.
And it's doing those little things. Everything I do is tailored to trying to be the best.
So, yes, that's Kirt's job. He's arranged his life so that he can do what he loves for a living, and that's good. But the vast majority of shooters out there are regular guys.
Oh no! Like at this last weekend's match, everyone out there is just having a good time.
It's having a good time.
Yep.
And it's an excellent. No matter what organization you go out to shoot with, if you bring your 12-year-old kid, he's going to have a blast.
Sure.
It's a good family sport. Now there's some shit talkers out there and whatnot, but generally speaking, it's just a good time. Most people are out there literally to help anybody else get better.
Oh yeah. That's the big thing about the tactical games is that community, man.
Yeah.
Like you can show up and not have an absolute clue what's going on.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to learn and can obviously put in the physical work and have some basic weapons proficiencies, people will give you anything you need. Like if you gun breaks, I've watched one of the, guys that, James Gill, he's an awesome dude, works with the tactical games. He runs all their basically shooting stuff, makes the stages really evil. I watched him literally offer his guns to a guy because he showed up and didn't have a proper device, muzzle device, because our muzzle device is limited because you're shooting next to other people. Right. And here, use mine for the whole weekend.
That's awesome, man.
Well, that's incredible. And I've seen that happen multiple times across all different types of people for magazines or plate carriers. Things break, right? Whatever, pistols, it doesn't matter. So, and then they're all having a good time. Right. Like, if you're struggling, we're going to help you.
Yep. That, folks, is the gun industry or the training industry in a nutshell. Everybody wants to see everyone else succeed. So everybody's out to have a good time. You don't see a lot of, there's a little bit of ego when you get to the competitive levels, right, that you're dealing with. But generally speaking, at regular guy level, nah, man, you don't see that stuff.
I mean, you do have some people like, even the last match I was at, the guys get chirpy because, hey, make sure you're calling my hits or something like that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Right. If you're hitting it, you can see it.
Yeah.
Or you should be calling your own hits.
And there's
really,
always somebody that's trouble right there.
Yeah. All these little things, but, those guys, they're kind of that, we'll call them almost like a keyboard warrior type dude, like they show up and they think they should be doing really well, but they're not because they actually don't put in the time. And then they come out with this, air about them and it just gets punctured real quick.
Yeah.
So, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's good for them.
It is good for them.
Yeah.
Nothing like a little piece of humble pie to keep you.
Oh, I've been there.
Keep you.
I needed it,
Keep you on the ground. Yeah, that's good. Competition. So, yeah, good people. We're on track. We're on track, and we're gonna hopefully be the ones bringing you that in Northwest Georgia soon. Get out and shoot for sure. Come out here and shoot, or go down to South River down in Covington, or up to River Bend. Or is that Dawsonville?
Dawsonville. Yeah, it's about an hour and a half from here. So
yeah, it's a little drive from here. And hey, I fully realize Rome is a little drive from most places too.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a lot else going on beyond that. You got Tallapoosa has a range down there where I know they do IDPA and I think USPSA every weekend. In Waco, Georgia, Tallapoosa or Waco, it's down there.
Yeah,
pretty close to I-20 extreme west. And then beyond that, I don't know, like Talladega, the civilian military CMP range out there. They do action shooting.
Yep.
But I don't know of too many other places other than the indoor ranges around town.
Yeah.
Where they do their little.
I'm not a big fan.
Nah.
I mean, if that's what you got, that's what you got.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, that works. But there's a PCSL match going on. I think they do it twice a month at the Vault. Over in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand how I'm going to run a PCSL match with a carbine and pistol in a bay.
It's so confined.
That's 20 yards, maybe 20 yards wide.
Yep. So confined, so loud. Yep. But still, if that's all you got, that's all you got, folks. A lot of the people that come out here on a regular basis, they shoot during the week. They'll shoot at Stoddard's or Georgia Fireline.
Yep.
Or the Vault and places like that. And anybody's happy to have you out. Let's see what else is in news. We've got an unusual event coming up. It's called the Special Mission Skirmish, and that is going to be. I just went and did a site survey today for that. I'm still unsure. It was going to be at the Northwest campus over here in Northwest Rome. Well, we've lost access to that property. They're starting to demolish it for a rebuild. So there's a school that I'm looking at, and then there's just a residential house, but it's out in the woods, which might make for good rural movement. Anyway, it's force on force, UTM, and both teams are opposition teams, and your mission is to go and capture an HVT on the objective. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun. I'm eager to see all the tactical YouTube tactics that come out of the woodworks because we're not doing any training.
We need the cameras in the house.
We're going to have cameras everywhere. What you're going to get as a participant is you're going to show up and you're going to be a part of a 4-man team. And then you guys will have 2 hours to plan your mission. I'll look at it. You can ask advice. You can do whatever you want. But if everything looks relatively safe and you're not getting on anyone's private property, I'll let you run your mish.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens once everybody gets in the house at the same time. I can't wait to see that.
Jeez.
Lots of cameras. Anyway, it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be a blast. But we have OCs with each team, observer controllers, so that it doesn't turn into an unhinged paintball match.
That's what it's going to happen.
It's definitely not going to happen.
It's
not going to become an unhinged paintball match.
If I'm there, it's going to be an unhinged paintball match.
And then after the fact, we're going to do an AAR and then have some catered chow. Can't decide if it's going to be some Moe's barbecue. Most likely Moe's barbecue. Yeah. So it's going to be a really good time. It's a teaser for the special operations experience that we do over at the Southern Ornithological League, which is a much more in-depth course. But check that out. Please check all our stuff out. All the shooting stuff is at OSS, OspreyShootingSolutions.com. All of the sort of outdoor adventure type stuff that doesn't involve shooting is over at twoteamguys.com. That's land navigation, search and rescue mountaineer that we do in conjunction with Higher Ground and Nathan Hicks. And we're planning for a spring rescue, search and rescue mountaineer, by the way. We do a long range evasion course, which is urban and rural movement from Atlanta out to Rome. And it's really, really cool. So there's a lot of cool stuff going over there. And then if you're listening to this, then you know all about the juntopodcast.com. So please feel free to chime in. Let us know what you like or don't like. Send us topics you'd like to hear about. If you've noticed by the blogs that I post, I have a lot of opinions I'm happy to share about various things.
Very true.
But I'm very happy to hit on some subjects that people are interested in as well. I don't know. Do you have a social media where people can follow?
Yeah. K-Factor85.
K-Factor85. That's Kirt. And Kirt is sponsored now by JP and by Born Primitive.
Born Primitive, yep.
And that's good stuff. So get out there and look at those guys as well. Those are both big names in the tactical industry. Well, Born Primitive in the tactical wear, JP in the competition shooting industry specifically.
That's right. Yep.
So JP rifles are hot rod. They're hot rod for sure.
They're nice.
Yeah.
They're very nice.
So get out there and do that, guys. And come out here and shoot. We got stuff on the calendar all the time. All right, folks. I'm Edgar Mills.
I'm Kirt Finnell.
And that's Kirt Finnell. And we are happy to chat with you. Thank you for listening. And please sound off.